Salute to all the diehards. This is Diehard Giants Live, and I am your host. I am Jarrell on IG and Twitter. It's been a long time, people. We had a draft. We just finished the draft. It's been a long 3 days. To me personally, I wish the draft actually goes back to the old format when we had it just for the weekend draft. The draft used to start on like noon on Saturday. And it was like a 8-hour process, and then the next day was Sunday. I think it was rounds, like 4 through. I think the first day was 1 through 4, and the second day was 5 through 7, and that was it, man. But now we got Thursday night, we got Friday night, and mostly Saturday, and we get to pick the pieces up on Sunday. But salute to everybody here. Salute to Geraldine, First Lady Geraldine. Salute, and Wonder Woman. Salute to you too. Glad y'all can make it. I was supposed to have Steph here. I'm not sure. She's running a little late. She might not even show up. I'm not sure. She's on location down south, so I'm not sure exactly if she's going to show up today. But yeah, let's get into it. I got a profile for each and every one of our draft picks. Might as well start getting into it now. You know me, I'm not going to be here for that long. We're going to run through these. For the first round, Abdul Carter. Then we got Jackson Dart, Darius Alexander, Cam Scatterboo, Marcus Bowe. The M is silent. It's not M-Bo, it's Bo. And then we got Tommy Fredoni II and Corey Black, man. We're going to get through all of these. We had 7 picks. We might as well get into Abdul Carter, man, the man of the hour, the 3rd pick overall in the draft, linebacker Abdul Carter. I call him a linebacker. A lot of people just categorize him as an edge. But as you can see, the first strength that I got on here is his versatility, because he plays off ball and has experience in the edge. Obviously, this past year at Penn State, he was an absolute monster. Arguably the best defender in the draft, or arguably the best player overall in the draft. And we got him at 3. So I think the Giants did good with this roster with getting him. It gives us an identity. Every time we won a Super Bowl, our defense was actually on par. We always had a fierce pass rush, and Abdul Carter could be the reason why we go to a Super Bowl in the near future. He's not Superman. He's not going to just uplift everybody on that defense and we just automatically become the best defense in the league because of him. But he is definitely a piece, a very strong piece, and he's going to be a cornerstone for this team, hopefully for the next 10 years until he retires. But Abdul Carter, his strengths are versatility, elite athleticism, raw talent that you can't teach, and he's an ideal leader. Like, he's a leader of men. It's no real good. I'm trying to figure, like, when it came to the weaknesses, it's very, very hard to look for weaknesses for Abdul Carter, man. Like, point of attack can be an issue in the run game. That's just because of his size. If he's on the edge and he's only below 250, of course you're going to have a little issue when it comes to the run game if you're on the edge, depending on the play. And sometimes he can be too aggressive because he'll get to the ball carrier. He'll get to an angle faster than the ball carrier. Sometimes he'll like overshoot the angle. And that's pretty much it. But other than that, he's a very good tackler. And he's from Philly. And that's pretty much all I got, man. That's the weaknesses. That's all his weaknesses. He's from Philly. He grew up an Eagles fan. But I remember on the day of the draft, he said it's all about Big Blue now. He doesn't worry about the Eagles or Philly when it comes to stuff like that. But he comes from a good family in Philly. I live not too far from Philly, so I've heard about him even when he was in high school. He's always been a good player. He obviously wrecked shop when it came to his last year at Penn State. He played with a couple injuries, but it didn't matter. He still ended up being the best defender on the field. And Abdul Carter is going to be a cornerstone for this team, hopefully for a very, very long time. Salute to Ron. Ron from Still Knicks fans. Let me put you up here. Salute. And See, we're going to get into that, Geraldine. She said we should have drafted Shedeur Sanders. We're going to get into that because I do agree with you. But after some thought, I'm not too upset about the drafting Shedeur, but we might as well get into it now. Like Abdul Carter, there's not much to say about him because he's too good to be true. Like it's nothing bad. There's no criticism that I can come his way. Like it's kind of hard to talk about Abdul Carter. He's a game wrecker. He's going to be wherever the ball carrier is. He can stand up. He can put his hand in the ground and rush the passer. He can pretty much do it all. So I expect him to actually start at linebacker for us. He doesn't necessarily have to start at the edge. I think Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns will still start, but you can have him stand up and just shoot A gaps or shoot whatever type of gap in the blitz and package that we have for him. So that's how versatile he is, and that's how good he is. So let's get into Giants come back into the first round, and we had a trade for the 25th pick. The Houston Texans traded with us, and all we had to do was swap out our second-round pick with their first-round pick. But then we just gave up 2/3. We gave up a third this year, the 99th pick, and we gave up a third for next year. And if you actually look at the trade, it was a trade right after this that somebody actually gave up a first-round pick. So Joe Shane, hate or love him, when it comes to trades, especially this year, he aced this trade, regardless of who we pick. Say we did pick Shedeur, and he just got the quarterback that you wanted instead of Dart. The trade itself was, I don't see how like the Houston Texans did this. Like they were supposed to at least ask for maybe another second next year, but no, they just wanted this 99th pick, which wasn't even our pick. We got that from Saquon Barkley, the compensatory pick for Saquon, and that was the 99th pick. And then we're giving up a pick next year, which depends on if Jackson Dart is any good, and we wouldn't care about that pick next year. So the man of the hour, Jackson Dart. I'll get through the strengths and weaknesses first, then I'll get through my actual thoughts about him, whether we should have picked Shedeur over him. Everybody knows now Shedeur slid in the draft and we didn't pick him. But yeah, we'll talk about that too. But Jackson Dart, 6'2", 220 pounds. He didn't run the 40-yard dash or do any of the athletic stuff when it came to the drills because, when it comes to a quarterback, especially if you're a first-round pick, a lot of quarterbacks aren't going to run 40s and have verticals and stuff because it really doesn't matter, especially with their position. So he has pro leadership qualities, dating back all the way to high school. Everybody who knows Jackson Dart talks about how good of a leader he is. That's like a real good plus for him. Everybody who knows him or any type of interview about him, that's the number one thing they talk about him. It's his leadership qualities. He's accurate in the middle throws, accurate on the short throws too, and the deep ones, but he's really accurate when it comes to the intermediate stuff, and he's very aggressive. For example, if you're going to compare him to Daniel Jones, Daniel Jones doesn't have the arm talent that Jackson Dart has. Jackson Dart has better arm talent, and he's very aggressive compared to Daniel Jones being conservative. Like Daniel Jones didn't throw the ball downfield enough. He wasn't confident enough in his arm, which might have been a good thing. But it's not like Daniel Jones didn't have a strong arm. I'm telling you that Jackson Dart, if you're going to compare him to Daniel Jones, his arm will look a lot better than Daniel's would. Like the ball pops out of his hand way better than DJ did. So, when it comes to arm talent, he can make any throw on the field. So there's no knock on him on that. He can find some yards on the ground. He could use his legs. I wouldn't consider him a running quarterback, but he could scramble and escape on third down. I would kind of, when it comes to athleticism and the way that he runs the ball or scrambles, maybe I don't want to put like Aaron Rodgers in your head thinking that he's Aaron Rodgers, but I'm just talking about the way that he escapes the pocket and can get a couple yards, like that type of athleticism. Like, I don't expect him to have like 100-yard games on the ground or anything like that. And I think Daniel Jones is a better runner than Jackson Dart, because he's bigger, he's more athletic. But Jackson Dart can move the chains with his legs if he has to. Let me just salute to the chat real quick. We surveyed 100 people. Salute, salute, salute. Head, my guys, salute. Cream in the house, salute, salute. Glad everybody could join us. We just talked about Abdul Carter. You didn't miss much. He's a beast. There's not much to say about him. Jackson Dart, just getting in the middle of him now. His weaknesses, average, physical attributes, no experience in the pro system, and bad decision in big games, man. Like, when it comes to Ole Miss, they did not run a pro system. Lane Kiffin is their head coach. He runs a very quote-unquote college-friendly, quarterback-friendly system that they usually only have like one or two reads, and usually the read is, the decision where the ball is supposed to go is already made up for them. That's why a lot of quarterbacks, when it comes to pro-ready or pro-level quarterbacks, scouts will always say that the pro-ready quarterbacks will be ready for us just because of the type of offense that they run. He wasn't under center a lot. 99% of the time he was in the shotgun. His snap count, all he usually do is like clap his hands, or maybe clap his hands twice if it goes on one or two, depending. But it's not like a pro level quarterback who gets under center, have like seven-step drop backs. A lot of footwork is involved. A lot of coaches don't coach that way anymore, especially in high school and college, just because you don't have to develop those type of traits that the pros have when it comes to dropping back and the mechanics and stuff. It could get a little, I don't know, depending on who you have. I think that's why a lot of high school coaches run that offense, because you don't really have to teach mechanics when it comes to a quarterback, when it comes to footwork. You're just standing there in the shotgun and just wait for the ball to get to you and throw it. And that's it. You don't have to worry about footwork. But because of that, maybe that's a big knock on him, because a lot of college quarterbacks that don't come from a pro system, they really don't translate to the pros often. I mean, there are always exceptions to the rule. But for the most part, like a lot of quarterbacks that go high in the draft, they usually have some type of pro elements to their game in college. Jackson Dart, unfortunately, doesn't. Like, he never was under center in Ole Miss. That's not their offense at all. But yeah, that's not saying that he won't be successful. I'll get into whether I think we should draft him over Shador. Let me take a sip of water for this, because this is going to be long. Well, I would have picked Shador. I'm not going to lie. But I would have picked Shador just because of the type of quarterback he is. I think he might be a better quarterback than Jackson Dart, but he does different things that's better than Jackson Dart. Like, they both have their plus and minuses, and they both do things better than the other. So in terms of what Jackson Dart does, I do see why Brian Dable would prefer Jackson Dart. Like, he's more athletic. He has a livelier arm. Other than that, like, that is huge for our offense, the way that we want to run our offense. That was the main reason they gave Daniel Jones all that money in the first place. It's not like Daniel Jones was excellent in a whole bunch of categories, but for one, he can run RPOs. He's athletic. And if you do tell him to get the ball somewhere, he can get it there. Like I said before, his arm talent might not have been special, but it was special enough for him to be successful in the league if he had a lot of the intangibles that other quarterbacks have. But DJ doesn't. We all saw that with our own eyes. But in terms of Jackson Dart, how he fits in our system, he fits our system a lot better than Shador does, if that makes sense. Even though I think Shador overall is a better quarterback, he's more accurate than Jackson Dart is. He probably can read a defense better than Jackson Dart is, because he came from a pro level system, or a pro type of system, compared to what Ole Miss was running. Shador had Pat Shermer at Colorado, who was his offensive coordinator. He was our head coach for the Giants at one point. So they had some type of pro elements to their game. Like Shador was under center. He had all the footwork to do all of the drop backs, the 5 steps, the 7 steps, and he could read the defense before the ball gets out when it comes to timing and stuff like that. That, compared to Jackson Dart, he didn't have to do some of that stuff. But I do think, like I said before, when it comes to fit and the coach that we have, Jackson Dart probably should have been the pick. Even though personally, I think Shador will probably, might have a better future. So Jackson Dart is up in the air, man. It's like 50-50. I don't know if he's going to be successful or not, but I am rooting for him. I know that. I'm not the type of person that would, just because I thought we should have picked Shador, that doesn't mean I'm going to root against Jackson Dart. Like he didn't ask to come here. We drafted him here, and our front office wants him here. I think this was a Brian Dable call. And plus, I think since I do think the front office is on the hot seat, the jobs is on the line. Even if Joe Shane thought that Shador was a better quarterback in the long run, getting your coach, your head coach, who is on the hot seat, his quarterback, should be your number one priority coming into the offseason, at least to me. We obviously filled a lot of holes, especially on defense when it comes to priorities, but everybody knows that the Giants needed a young quarterback. We knew that we was going to draft a quarterback, even if it wasn't at 3. We was going to draft a quarterback in one of these rounds. Even if we didn't move up to 25, a quarterback was coming to our team. They have to mold a young quarterback before they lose their jobs, because front offices usually don't do that. So we'll see. We'll see if he's successful. I'm rooting for him. But it is what it is, man. Like, we just have to wait and see. Geraldine said he's going to be a bust. Well, I hope not, man. Let me see what Ola has to say. Transitioning under center and breaking signals, which include reading the defense and calling attributes as what is in line. Yep, exactly. So that's why I said I don't agree with the bust thing. I don't agree with bust, period, when it comes to the draft until they start playing. But I don't expect Jackson Dart to get any burn right away. Like, we would have to – he might not play at all next season. I'm not one of those people who think the front office have to win a certain amount of games or they'll be fired. I think it just depends on how we're going to lose games, because we're going to have a tough schedule. And with the team that we have, like, nobody's going to expect us to go into the playoffs, or have a winning season. But it's just how we're going to win or lose the games. Like, if Brian Dable shows that he lost the locker room, then yes, he would definitely get fired. But as long as he doesn't show that he lost the locker room, I don't think wins and losses is going to determine whether Brian Dable gets fired. Like, I really don't think that. Like, the way that John Mara has been talking, he seemed like he's been staying away from this, and he's really trying to give them a chance to build this team correctly. And whether we like it or not, that's his decision. So, yeah, we might not know if Jackson Dart is any good this time next year because he hasn't played. Or if he does play, he probably won't play that much. Because honestly, we wouldn't want him to. But we'll see. Next, the third pick. Very, very excited about this pick because Darius Alexander, he shot up draft boards during the draft process after the Senior Bowl. I put him dominating the Senior Bowl as one of his strengths. Great combination of size, strength, and quickness. Versatile enough to play anywhere on the line. Like, he can play 3 technique, which is defensive tackle. He can play outside the guard, outside the tackle. He can go anywhere on the line, and he's an athletic freak, man. Like, you see the 40 times in the verse. I'm not going to say them out loud. That's why I just put them on the screen. Like, next to Dexter Lawrence, he's going to be a beast, man, athletically. It's all about strength when it comes to them, is keeping his pads low. His weaknesses, inconsistent pad level. His pass rush skills need work, and he's going to be like an older type rookie. Like, he's been in college for like 5 or 6 years. Yeah, I think he's like untapped potential, even though he's a late bloomer. Think of him as like a real athletic kid, but he still needs to just develop pass rush skills. Because when it comes to the run game, he already is good at that aspect. But this is a defensive tackle that could be good at both. Those are the ones that are drafted high for most, unless you're like really really good in one area. Like if you're the best pass rushing defensive tackle, yeah, you can get drafted in the first round. But you really want the type of guys that do both, and it was actually a shock that he actually lasted this long. He was actually projected to like be there like in the beginning or the middle of the second round, and we got him at the beginning of the third. So yeah, Darius Alexander, he's going to be a really good piece for our defensive line. As you can see, we already drafted in the first three picks. We already drafted two players that's going to be in our front seven. So you can already tell what type of defense that we're going to run, man. Like we're going to get after the quarterback. I'm really excited to where this defense can go. Um, yeah, Darius Young, I love the pick. Like, there's going to be a lot of I love the pick in these picks because even though I do think we should have drafted Shador instead of Dart. I get why they drafted Dart. That's their decision. But when it comes to the draft, all these draft grades, all of these are good value picks for all of them. All seven picks were actually good value, and we only went through three of them. So the next four are. I'm just going to spoil it now. I love the pick in each pick that we picked. So. Darius Alexander in the third. The next pick, Cam Scatterboo, running back out of Arizona State. Big bruiser, man. 5'10", 220. I actually think that's a little light. Seems like he plays a little heavier than that. Because if you actually watch this kid run, man, he's just a battering ram. Like he runs through everything. He runs through arm tackles. You got to hit him low, or you'll get ran over. Elite contact balance and leg drive. Excellent footwork in tight quarters. Great weapon in the passing game. Even though he's a big kid, he looks like a fullback. He got soft hands. He can run routes like a wide receiver in the slot. Like Tyrone. Let's just put it this way. Tyrone Tracy is a wide receiver converted to a running back in college, right? But Cam Scatterboo is probably a better receiver than Tyrone Tracy is. That's how good his hands are. In screen passes, I don't expect him to, catch passes downfield or anything like that. But when it comes to the intermediate stuff and screen passes or any type of any type of running back route that could be done, Cam Scatterboo is your guy. Like he's a perfect third down back. Like he could get short yardage, and if he needs to catch a screen pass and take it to the house, he's the type of person that can do that because he breaks arm tackles. He breaks tackles everywhere. His weaknesses are punishing collisions could impact durability because that was college when he was running people over like that. There's no telling what his body will be like running into NFL linebackers. It's a little different in college. And lacks straight line speed. He's not a burner. You can tell by his 40 time, and he's a below average pass protector. I don't know, maybe because he didn't do that enough when he was younger. They just pretty much gave him the ball over and over and over again, whether it was on the ground or through the pass. But he's not a good pass blocker, which is kind of weird because of how he's made up. Like his body, he looks like a little guard back there, but. Yeah, he's not a good pass protector. He needs to work on that. But other than that, him and Tyrone Tracy can be a really, really good matchup, man. Like we had Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw, Thunder and Lightning, that type of stuff. Like when we won the Super Bowl, we always had a good running game. And Cam Scatterboo and Tyrone Tracy, a balance between them two for 4 quarters. Long as our line can block, man. We got 2 kids or 2 young men, I should say, that run hard between the tackles, and they're both really athletic. So I really, really love this pick. This one of my favorite picks in the draft, Cam Scatterboo. In the 5th round, this is a really value pick because a lot of people thought he was going to be picked before the 5th round. Some people had him in the 3rd. And the only reason I think he fell is because of strength, but we can get into it. Marcus Bowe, offense. He played. I put offensive line and then put position specifically like right tackle or guard or anything like that because he played guard and right tackle in college. I mean, at Purdue, played right tackle last year, but he has experience at guard, and he's been working out to become a center in the NFL too. So he plays all 5 positions. He's an elite athlete. Hustle and instincts are elite. He can play every position on the line. Timing and quickness to succeed in combo blocks downfield, like on screen plays and stuff like that. Counters, pulling as a guard. I really think that he's going to project as a guard in the inside because he's only 6'4", 300 pounds, so he's kind of light to be a tackle. Got short arms. He just lacks the size to become like a full-fledged starting tackle. Excuse me, a full-fledged starting tackle for 17 weeks. So I project him to be a guard, but he can play everywhere. The last weakness is unable to forcefully redirect pass rushers because strength is his real weakness, and strength is probably the only reason that he wasn't drafted like in the first 2 rounds. I think if he was stronger, like say if he was 6'4", 225, 6'4", 230, he might have been a first-round pick, early second. Like that's how good he is. Other than that, like his footwork is elite. Really athletic kid. He's fast for his size. So fast. Whenever you see a lineman or anything that don't have 40 times or verts or anything like that, he's so athletic that he feel like he didn't even have to do that. Like he didn't run a 40. But if you look at him on the field, you can tell that he's fast for a lineman. He's not going out there running like a running back, but he almost looks like a tight end the way he moves his feet. So hopefully our offensive line coach can develop him. That's a very, very good pick, Marcus Bowe. Next, this was like I kind of scratched my head with this one because it was a tight end. I didn't think we was going to draft a tight end this year, but when I found out who it was and when I saw the pick come up, I was like, okay, Tommy Fredoni, he can play, man. Like he's a good pass catcher. I'll go through the strengths and weaknesses real quick and talk about him. Impressive athleticism. Good motor and effort, willing blocker, dog mentality, able to run complex routes and threaten the second level. Like he's a pass catcher. Like he's a pass catcher that is a willing blocker, but as you can see with his weaknesses, it's a strength issue just like Marcus Bowe is. That's why these guys, that's the only reason he didn't get drafted into the 7th round because I think he was projected to be like a 4th or 5th round pick too. And he slid to the 7th. And he just lacks strength, inconsistent pad level as a blocker. He can get a little low. He's 6'5", so his pads are a little high when it comes to blocking. And he needs to be more physical at the catch point. When he's running routes, sometimes he can get knocked off of his route because he's not strong enough. But he's almost like a big wide receiver that can block, if that makes sense, opposed to like an inline tight end that's really good at blocking and that's good at receiving too. So if he bulks up a little bit, gets a little strength to him, he could be really, really dangerous in the league, man. Like he's like the prototypical number 2 or number 3 tight end, if that makes sense. He might not develop into a starter, but if you throw him the ball, he'll catch it. I just wouldn't expect him to be a starter because of strength. Like I don't see him, being a plus blocker in line yet. We'll see where it goes, though. Hopefully he can develop that. And our last pick in the draft was Corey Black. Last pick 246. Good size and speed. As you can see, his 40 time. Ran a 4.3, vert almost 40 inches, 6 foot tall. Combination of size, speed, prototypical. The reason he slid so much, I think he's just really aggressive. He gets beat a lot. Really aggressive. Had a lot of penalties last year. But one of the main reasons I think we did draft him is because of special teams. Like he's blocked a field goal in his career at OSU. I think he blocked a couple punts. He was a gunner on the punt team. Yeah, I think he can be like a gunner on our team. I can see him if he does make the team. Not saying that he won't ever play defense or anything like that, but he is a cornerback, so he can't play defense in a pinch. But mainly, he'll make the team because of his special team prowess. Like he's a good special team player in in college at Oklahoma State. Usually, those guys are drafted late or even undrafted. A lot of the best special team players in the league weren't drafted at all. So, him being picked in the seventh round as a special team guy, I mean, he was really, really good at special teams, and that's what he's going to. That's how he's going to break bread on this on this roster. Let me see what they got going in chat because that's the last slide that they got. Like we only had 7 picks. Let me see what you guys are saying. See, now it's the question time. Now we can get back to this. I'd rather answer questions. Hold on. So let's get back to all the names, so all of them be on there. Yeah, man. So what I think of Jameis Winston then? I think the Jameis Winston plan is for him to just back up Russell Wilson at this point. I don't think Jackson Dart is going to play this year, or if they do, I think if he plays, something went wrong because I think Russell Wilson will play. Unless he stinks up the joint or get hurt, they'll put Jameis in. And then unless he stinks up the joint or get hurt, then they'll put Jackson Dart in. I think he's going to be the third wide receiver probably all season because they made a rule now that you can actually dress a third quarterback, but they don't count on the roster or something like that. So every week I can see him dressing and holding the clipboard and learning. He's going to learn from a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, well, it used to be in his prime, Russell Wilson, when he was with Seattle. And Jameis did not win a Super Bowl, obviously, but he was the number 1 pick in the draft, and he won a college championship at Florida State. So even though he hasn't had the success that everybody would think is the number 1 pick, but Jameis, let's not act like he hasn't thrown for 5,000 yards and had like a season with over 30 yards, touchdowns too. He'll give it up now. Don't get me wrong. He'll throw a lot of interceptions, but when it comes to slinging the ball and throwing the ball downfield and being aggressive in your reads and stuff like that, Jameis Winston is the type of quarterback I could see a young quarterback learning from too. So, yeah, I think the plan for Jameis is just to be the backup. And plus, you can tell by how much money they sign players to. Like, I think Jameis only signed for like $4 or $5 million, so that's backup money. Russell Wilson, I think, signed for what, 13, 14. That's good backup money. So it's not like he's making major starter money either. So, but he's going to be the starting quarterback. That just shows you both of them are just here as a placeholder for the young guys. Like they're both bridges at this point. Let me see what else Sean got. Hey, by drafting Dart, the coach and GM have bought another year because they won't play this year. Yep, exactly. Like when you draft Dart, he's not going to play. So say if we do have nobody expects us to have a winning season. So say we do win like 7 to 8 games. You can't fire Brian Daboll unless he, like I said before, unless he shows that he lost the locker room completely. You can't fire him because you just use draft capital to move up to get the quarterback that you wanted, and you're gonna fire the coach before the quarterback even gets a chance to play. That's kind of like malpractice. If that's the case, you should have fired them in the first place before they made this pick. So they kind of pigeonholed into having him or having everybody for another season even after this one. Let me see what else y'all got. And Scatterboo is Thunder to Tracy's Lightning. Yep. Ron said, I'm scared about Scatterboo. The NFL is a dangerous place and young man takes a lot of contact. I just hope he has a long career. But his style is dangerous. Yep, absolutely. That's why I think the number one weakness I have for him is because of the collisions and stuff. We don't know how durable his body's going to take those. because I'm trying to, let me see if I can give you guys a comp for Cam Scatterboo. If you haven't seen him play, I'm old, so I might bring up old running backs that people haven't even um, probably heard of but haven't seen in a while. There was a quarterback out of North Carolina that went to the Chargers, Natrone Means, big bruising back. I could see being compared to him. Bam Morris for the Steelers, a big guy, big contact guy that used to run people over. Bam Morris from the Steelers. I could see him being compared to him. Who else? See, I don't want to be stereotypical and just compare him to like white running backs like Merrill Hodge and Mike Allstott and stuff. He don't play like Mike Allstott. He don't play like maybe Merrill Hodge, but he seemed like to me he's a little bit more athletic than Merrill Hodge. Merrill Hodge was like a fullback that caught the ball out of the backfield and was a good blocker and stuff like that. But Cam Scatterboo is more of a running back. Like he's I don't want to compare him to Jerome Bettis because Jerome was actually bigger than he was. But just that type of, he's a bruiser with a little bit of speed. He's not going to run away from like cornerbacks in the open field. Like I said, his straight ahead speed is lackluster, but he is quick moving from side to side, and he is going to run you over. You are not going to be able to arm tackle Scatterboo. So I get what Ron is saying, like being concerned about him, but hey man, he better eat his Wheaties, eat your spinach before game day, your creatine, get your little pre-workout on, get in the gym, and you're gonna have to take those hits because that's his game. He doesn't have a choice. He's going to get hit. He's not fast enough otherwise. Let me see what y'all got. Don't forget, Wilson has a lot of inconsistencies in his contract. Incentives in his contract, and I don't think the Giants want to pay him. Yep. Definitely a lot of incentives. Might be surprised. Might be surprised, man. Like Jackson Dart, I said that he might not, or you wouldn't want him to start right away or get any type of burn right away because he's a rookie and he's young. One thing, he is only 21 years old. That's one big upside with him too. I think he's 2 years younger than Shedeur is, so I could see that being one of the reasons why he had a bit higher ceiling and a bigger upside too. But he's only 21 years old. So I can see Jackson Dart. If he does play, it's not like he won't play because Russell Wilson makes too much money. Like that's definitely correct. Hey, salute the two giant goofballs. Salute. Welcome to the channel, man. Salute. We just here talking about the draft. Been up here for about 40 minutes. I already got through everybody. I have draft profiles for everybody in slides. So if you missed the beginning of the show, just hit replay, and I'll go. You can see me go through each slide for each person. But I have talked about all 7 people already. They say mini Brandon Jacobs. Yep. Reminds me of salute to Vinny G, man. Salute. Welcome to the show. Reminds me of Maurice Jones-Drew a little bit. Yep. I can see that little bowling ball, man. Like no neck, just shoulder pads. Legs keep churning, don't stop. Heavy behind his pads. You just go low and run over people, man. Cam Scatterboo. Like Ron said, you can think about all the contact he's going to take. Hopefully he can get through it and have his body right. But if he does, Cam Scatterboo he might be the best pick of the draft. Like we drafted Abdul Carter though, so hear me out. I'm just talking about from where we drafted him because Abdul Carter is an absolute monster. Jackson Dart was in the first, but between Darius Alexander and Cam Scatterboo, that 3rd or 4th round pick might be the steals of the draft for us. Both of them might end up being starters by the end of the year. Not saying that Tyrone Tracy won't get a lot of carries, but him and Cam Scatterboo should, be dual running backs. I don't know who would get more carries, but Cam Scatterboo is definitely good enough to take away carries from Tyrone Tracy. But we'll see. Yep. Kid literally grew up running the phone poles to prove he was tough. Like I saw in an interview when he was little, he used to take his older brother's shoulder pads and just run the telephone poles just to prove how tough he was. So we'll see. He's definitely not Brandon Jacobs because he's not that big, but he runs damn near just as hard as Brandon Jacobs, though. So he's definitely a mini version, but when it comes to actual size, then no, Brandon Jacobs was an absolute monster. Brandon Jacobs was like my height. He was 6'4". Like he was just as big as the tackle that we drafted. The tackle that we drafted is 6'4", 300. Brandon Jacobs was like 6'4", like 250, 255 when he came out. He was a beast and fast as hell. Like he ran like a 4.4 in the 40. So, man, I don't know if anybody got any questions, but that's our draft. I love the draft. I give us an A. Like I said, I probably would have preferred Shedeur personally moving up, but I could totally see why they chose Jackson Dart ahead of Shedeur, just because of who our head coach is. Like when you look at Jackson Dart's game, he fits what Brian Daboll wants to do. So it made sense. I get it. From a talent standpoint, probably Shedeur might be more talented. He's certainly more accurate with the ball. He ran a pro-style offense. He can read defenses and stuff like that. But when it comes to athleticism, better arm talent, RPOs and stuff like that, stuff that we run or like to run, then Jackson Dart is the perfect fit for Brian Daboll. Cam Ward would have been the perfect fit for Brian Daboll when you just talking about the type of quarterbacks that they are and what their strengths and weaknesses are. We got something else here. I love the video of Dart entering the building. He opened the door and let his mom, sister. Yep, I saw that too. He let the whole family walk in ahead of him, holding the door for everybody. So, I guess it doesn't show you the leadership. It shows you that he obviously has manners, so I like that. But from what I've heard from Jackson Dart, everybody that talks about him has said that he's a prototypical leader. Like he's a leader of men, like the whole, I'm not saying that the whole, like he's liked by everybody personally, but when it comes to leadership on the football field, on and off, having relationships with people, the type of person that he is, how he talks to people, Jackson Dart is top notch when it comes to that. Ron said, according to Thomas Shea, Shedeur totally failed the install package. Yep, I heard about that. Only reason it's hard for me to comment on that because I don't know if it's true. If it's true, then hell no, I wouldn't have drafted him either. If that's the case. If I gave him an install and told him to be ready for our time for when we have our top 30 visits or whatever, whenever I get him on the board when he comes to the facility and stuff, if he's not prepared for that, and then I get on him for that, but he's mad I got on him for being prepared, then no. I probably wouldn't draft him. It wouldn't be a right fit. Not saying that he should have slid all the way to the 5th round, though. I thought that was ridiculous. They were trying to teach him a lesson that probably didn't have to be taught in the first place about being humble and stuff like that. I don't like that type of stuff, but hold on. I see people talking in the chat. Yep. They will say that he was disappointed. They went back at him. Install package, what is that, Ron? Install package, like, this was an install packages. Like, if I'm a coach, right, I can give you a playbook. It might not be, obviously it's not the team playbook or whatever, but when you install a package, I can give you, I don't know, a 10-page booklet or whatever to show you what type of formations and stuff like that. They call it an install. Like they can have an install of maybe 5 to 10 plays from different formations, and you just have to know the verbiage or know where everybody's supposed to be, how the formations are lined up, and preferably the verbiage. And because when you go to an NFL team, it's almost like learning a different language when it comes to stuff like that. So say if I'm a head coach and I give you an install to learn for when you come to the facility, I could put you on the whiteboard and you should be able to either recite or just draw up any plays from that install. If I give you that and you come to the facility and you're not prepared for that, then yeah, that is definitely a knock on your draft, like whether I'm going to draft you or not, because you didn't follow directions. You didn't do what I asked you to do. So, but as the player, if you didn't think, I don't know, it seemed like the only reason you wouldn't do it is you didn't want to be drafted by us, which can be possible too. But according to Shador, that he did want to be here. But yeah, if you're going to blow off the install or blow off anything that they ask you to do before the meeting takes place, then yeah, I can see why it would definitely be a knock on your grade, and especially if somebody actually fits their style of their program more than you do. Like like they gave him that install for a reason. But that's what installs are. What else? Dart also had one of the fastest arm releases in football, which is really good for a quarterback. Yep, definitely fast release. Very good arm. Like I said before, very good arm. In the intermediate throws, he's very, very accurate. The knock on him is just that he was not in a pro style offense. So if the first read is already determined to you where you should go for the ball, that you don't have to make any decisions. Yeah, that's a knock on some of the college quarterbacks coming out. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, he gave him confidence in terms of learning and didn't spend the time to do it. Yep, exactly. He definitely wanted to play for us. Imagine how he acted for the teams he didn't want to play for. That is true also. So yeah, that's the huge knock on Shador, man. Like if that is true, then yeah, I can see why we personally didn't draft him. Why he slid to the 5th round, that might be a completely different reason. But sliding to the 5th round because of something like that, I don't know. It all depends on what these GMs and head coaches were thinking, man, and ownerships too, because ownerships, depending on the team, ownership has a lot to do with that too. And I don't know if you do pick Shador and he's a backup quarterback. Let's just say I think Cleveland has a problem, not because they drafted Shador, but they drafted another rookie quarterback ahead of him. So what was the point of drafting Shador in the first place? I don't get that, but in no world Dylan Gabriel from Oregon should have been drafted ahead of Shador Sanders. And now that they're both on the same team, I don't know. If I was Dylan Gabriel, I'll ask to be traded. Because what are we doing? They drafted 2 rookies, already had 3 other quarterbacks on the roster, even though Deshaun Watson is hurt. But again, that's Cleveland's problem. Since we didn't draft Shador, might have been a gift and a curse for us. He might end up being the best quarterback in the draft, or he might end up being a bust, just like a lot of these dudes do. It's a flip of the coin, man. You never know. I'm not really tied to anybody coming into the draft. If we draft them, we draft them. If we don't, we don't. It all depends on when they get to the New York Giants facility. How do they develop? And what type of player they become after that. Now that these 7 guys that I got on the screen is coming into the building, that's what my primary focus is. Can't even believe that Shador wasn't even the first quarterback taken. I thought that was crazy. Yeah, it should have been drafted by the Steelers. Get that too, but then they talk about having Aaron Rodgers there. So I get that too. So they would have had Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, and Shador would have been their quarterback room. So I don't know. But no way Tomlin would have thrown him out within the first. Yeah, I don't know. Were you saying no way Tomlin would have thrown him out within the first? Nah, according to Mike Tomlin and reports, they actually did like Shador. I think they didn't draft Shador because of Aaron Rodgers. Because I think drafting Shador is a huge story. So whatever quarterback that he's sitting like behind, like Aaron Rodgers probably don't want to deal with any of that. Like you already know how Aaron Rodgers is. You don't even know. He doesn't even want to say what he's doing yet, and the draft already happened. So we'll see. Browns could have had Hunter and Sanders, yeah, but they traded out. So the Vinny said Bears could have had Hunter and Sanders, yep, but they traded out. Jacksonville got Hunter. If they liked him, that they were drafting, no, not necessarily. It all is about circumstance. If they had Aaron Rodgers in the fold, I think they do. He is going to go there. And I can see why they didn't draft a rookie quarterback, period. Whether it was Shador or not. Tommy Vito about to be flipping pizzas this year. Well, Tommy Vito, I expect him to play. The last pass that we saw Tommy Vito throw for us will probably be the last pass Tommy Vito throw for us. Like I think it's a wrap for him. Two-time Goopball said Tommy Vito will sit on the practice squad and then come up if Russ gets hurt, keep Dart on the bed. Don't get me wrong, it makes sense. I can see that. I mean, they do still have Tommy. He's still going to be on the practice squad because I don't think anybody's going to grab him up. So, say Russ gets hurt, Jameis starts, Tommy Vito leapfrog start to be the backup at Dart. It still remains to be the third. I can definitely see that. That makes sense. I can see that. Be the third, but never dress. Remember they have that rule that he can dress now. And not take up a roster spot. I think you could have like a third emergency quarterback, but I think it depends if they want to do that. I think he probably will in some games and some he won't. But I think you can dress a third quarterback just for emergency purposes. Now that won't count against the roster, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong about that. But I think they was talking about that before last year. I'm not sure. All right, let's get out of here, man. Been a nice little show for an hour. Talked about every prospect. Like I said, if you came here late or on the suit to everybody on the replay gang, yeah, I got a slide for everybody. All the way down to Corey Black. He might play special teams for us. All the way from the first round to the second. There's a slide for everybody to talk about the strengths and weaknesses. He takes up a roster spot on that, but isn't on. Yep, got you. That would be his role. Yeah, that makes sense. Takes up a roster spot, but he doesn't play on. Wouldn't be added to the game day roster. That's cool. Well, salute to everybody, man. Ron, Two Giant Goofballs. Salute. Thank you for joining the show. We surveyed 100 people. Vinny G, man. My guy Kareem. Salute to Kareem. Ladies in the beginning, Wonder Woman and Geraldine. Salute to First Lady Geraldine. Salute to everybody for coming in. Wonder Woman, thank you. You always here. But thank you. This was the Draft Show. Hit the like button, subscribe. Tell everybody salute to all the diehards out there. I haven't had a show in a while. I'll probably have a show maybe a couple weeks after maybe a couple weeks into rookie mini camp, see how everything's progressing. See if we sign anybody. I haven't gotten a real look at all of the undrafted free agents so far. I do know for undrafted free agents, we got Juice Wells, a wide receiver out of where'd he go? Juice Wells went to because he transferred. I'm sorry. I think he went to Ole Miss. He went to Ole Miss with Dart, but he used to play for South Carolina. South Carolina Gamecocks. I think Juice Wells played for South Carolina, but did transfer to Ole Miss. I think we got him as an undrafted free agent. He's pretty good. somebody that you could look for to try to make the team at least. Um, what O had said. O said, I think Shador may have believed the season. Yep, I thought so too. Them, the Saints. Who else was in on Shador? Obviously, us, the Browns, the Saints, Pittsburgh. Anybody, any team that needs a quarterback, damn near. Um, Obviously, except for Tennessee, unless it was Tennessee, they drafted Cam Ward second. But yeah, everybody. It was only a few teams that needed quarterbacks. But we'll see how it goes with Shador. Hopefully, he won't fizzle out. He's always going to be a story, no matter how good he is, or no matter how good or bad he is. But yeah, we after tonight, we don't have to talk about Shador anymore. But he is going to be linked to us. He is always going to be compared to Dart because he's always going to be considered as the one who quote unquote got away. For the people who wanted him. But we'll see. Not saying Dart is going to be good or bad. Hopefully he is good. He is part of the New York Giants' future, and we drafted him, so we'll see. This has been Die Hard Giants. And, I'll be, like I said, I'll probably have another show probably a couple weeks into rookie minicamp to see how everything is going or see if we sign anybody. Some people drop off of rosters and we might grab them. But yeah, thanks for y'all. Thanks for everybody coming out. Was on here for almost an hour. Talk about our draft picks, man. We got 7 guys. I give our draft class an A. Obviously, I'm biased because I'm a fan. But, yeah, this was a pretty good draft. I think the last 2 drafts, Joe Shane, whether you think he should have been fired or not because our team wasn't good last year, the last 2 drafts were very, very good. Peace.